sometimes. Hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of We Huddle. This edition is the PGA Tour Internship, and I'm so excited as a golfer since the age of 7. I've always been a fan of introducing our community to this game and opportunities to work behind the scenes. And we've been having this conversation for a while, Nerissa, and I'm so excited to have Jalyn here to talk about this internship program. We have a lot of people who are going to be joining us that want to learn more about the opportunity to join the internship program, and Jalyn is the epitome of how to take an internship experience and use it as a springboard to the rest of your career. So Jalyn, welcome, and you're on mute. Yes, okay. You are
I got it, girl. We are all in the Zoom world now, so I'm a pro at it. But thank you for that. I'm so excited to connect with the group. Corinne, you've been playing golf a little bit longer than I have, but I love, your sentiment about how important it is to introduce us to the game and just really taking advantage of every opportunity it brings. And I'm so happy to kind of share a little bit about how that really translated in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, no, my mom is in the other room, and she heard that business deals were done on the golf course when she came to this country. So that is why I've been playing golf for such a long time. So this conversation, as all conversations with the Winning Edge, is going to be casual but informative. But we want to start with the technical stuff. We want to get all our viewers understanding what the PGA Tour internship is, what's the difference between the PGA and the PGA Tour, because there is a difference. I want people to know that, and giving as much information as you can. With the pandemic and everything else going on, we have to understand that things that were as they were aren't now. So Nerissa, welcome to We Huddle. And I start every conversation that I have with anybody with, who are you, what do you do, and why?
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. So please, if y'all have questions, drop them in the chat, pop up. Let's make this interactive. I'm so excited that we got Jalyn on board. So I'm going to talk about things. So pre-COVID, so the world's normal, what program Jalyn went through. Of course, my ongoing disclaimer is things have changed. So we just have to be flexible. There are some changes we're already foreseeing with the program, but nonetheless, we are committed to providing a safe, healthy, very informative, very fun, and valuable experiences for our interns. So who am I? I'm Nerissa Robinson, and I am a Floridian. I am a former singer dancer. I didn't play sports growing up, so I envy all of you who have eye-hand coordination, but feeling very, very lucky to work in sports. I am also a first-generation American Korean. I know we talked a little bit about that. My mom heard that everybody did ballet, so I did ballet growing up, and my brother did soccer. So I see you amening over there.
Yes, I also did ballet and gymnastics and piano and percussion, like all the things. I checked so many boxes when I was younger.
Yep, did the piano thing too for, I want to say 7 or 10 years, did ballet for 10 years. And what do? I get the pleasure of working with PGA Tour. We're an awesome organization, and you said, why do I do it? In a nutshell, because it's fun and because I love the people I work with. They are real human beings. They are awesome to work around. We show up, sometimes we're tired, we're stressed, but we don't snap at each other. We just say, let's just get this done. I've worked in environments before where even when people weren't stressed and super tired, they weren't nice. I just get to work with people who are really nice, and that's what keeps me there. It is challenging. We do get to pivot a little bit more quickly than some other companies that I've seen, so we're constantly being thrown these little, it's kind of like living in future problem solvers almost every day. You get to react to things and plan for things, and it really just keeps me on my toes. So about the PGA Tour versus PGA of America. So I shouldn't even say versus. So we're all in the golf space. It's all this ecosystem. So the PGA Tour is the touring professionals. So like the Ricky Fowlers, the Tiger Woodses, all of those folks who they are card carrying tour members. The PGA Tour is a 501c6 kind of like your local chamber of commerce. It's a member org. So you have to be a member to be considered part of the PGA Tour. And we have 6 different tours. So PGA Tour, if you think of it in your head as like all those letters are lowercase, that's PGA Tour Inc. And then we have like lowercase t, the tours. So we've got the PGA Tour, Corn Ferry Tour, PGA Tour Latino America, the Canadian Tour, the Chinese Tour, and I am the Champions. Pass that quiz. And so I support those touring professionals. I support the staff who support those touring professionals. PGA of America are the head pros. So members of that organization, you would go up to, so Corinne, maybe you'd go up to Eastlake, just dropping some names there. Maybe you'd show up to Eastlake and say, you know, I just need some tuning up. I want to talk to a head pro. Your head pro is probably going to be a PGA certified member. So he had to take all these tests, or she had to take all these tests to learn how to teach people the game. A lot of them did try out to be on the tour, so there is some like crossover there, but that's basically in a nutshell what PGA Tour and PGA of America are separately. That's kind of what distinguishes them.
Before you continue, I want to give you a chance to catch your breath.
Yeah.
How many tours are there for the PGA Tour? I know you kind of named them, but what's the number to kind of give people an idea?
We've got 6. We've got 6. Yep. So I was on 5 and I was like, I know there's another one. So we've got 6 of them. So I work in our HR department. We call it talent and culture. We feel like it reflects a little bit more closely what we try to do. You know, we work with some great people. We don't want it to have this very staffy feel, you know, the name of our department. We really do work with our talent, so helping to develop them professionally, and the interns are included in that, and culture. So what is our corporate culture? So right now we're in an interesting environment. I say right now, as of early March, we were in an environment where our headquarters was in Ponte Vedra Beach, so Northeast Florida, and in a 3-mile radius, we were spread across 17 buildings. So 17 individual buildings that had all their own mini cultures. There's like the broader tour culture, but then some, maybe they dressed a little bit more casually because they didn't have client-facing meetings. Some were just a little bit more corporate, and each department and team kind of has their own style, but what unifies us all. And those are the things that I get to work on with our employee resource groups. So I'm trying to think of what else you asked me to cover. So let's talk about the internship program.
Yes, that's why everybody is here.
Yeah, so to apply for our internship program, we look for students who are currently enrolled sophomore and above with a 3.0 or above. The first question I usually get is, what if I don't quite have a 3.0? What if my projection's a little bit under that? Apply anyway. If there's a chance for you to explain why you might have fallen a little bit short, I know that there are certain circumstances that just lend themselves to not being super focused on one class or another. Just try to find a way to explain it if you feel the need to do so. On the application, we look for people who really put in effort into applying. We're super excited to read these resumes. There are 2 personal statements that we usually require, so we'll give 2 prompts and students will react to them. We're looking for people who put their all into it, because we put our all into planning this program. And so I like to talk about the 4 R's when it comes to, sorry, my background won't let me show my hands. The 4 R's when it comes to applying. So it's research, reach out, revise, and rehearse. So research, we covered the basics, right? Now I know the difference between PGA Tour and PGA of America. So on my application, it's gonna say, I'm excited to apply for the PGA, all caps, Tour. And then what other basics? There are past interns who've also posted online about their experience with the internship program. And year to year, there may have been some changes, but overall, like, our curriculum stays the same. It's always 10 weeks. We always have really great workshops. So make sure that's part of your research and you're able to speak to it either in the interviews or in the application. Reach out. So if you know somebody who's been through the program before, talk to them. DM them, message them on LinkedIn, just see who responds. Like I said, we work with a lot of really nice people. We hire nice people. people are probably going to respond to you. It might take them a bit because they're busy, but people want to reach out. People like Jalyn, she was so excited to talk to you all about her experience. It was years ago, and she still loves talking about her internship experience. Do not be afraid to reach out to folks. Revise. So like I said, show that you put effort into your application. Make sure that, okay, in the reach out, make sure you reach out to your career services office. They will help you revise your resume. They'll help you with your cover letter. On your personal statements, make sure that when I'm reading it, it doesn't look like your very first draft, that you've put thought into it and you really gave it your best effort. And while we're talking about personal statement, if there's any chance that we ask you for your theme song or what song you would pick for your life, please don't pick Don't Stop Believing or Till I Collapse. We hear that all the time. Just do something different, even if it's the song you would actually pick. Just humor me and try to pick something different. Where was I? Research, reach out, revise, and rehearse. So our interview process usually includes 2 video interviews. One of them is a one-way, so you'll get prompts of what our questions are, and then you'll get a chance to record yourself responding. And then the next round, once you make it through there, is a 2-way video interview, so a lot like what we're doing right now. There's no new question under the sun we're going to ask you. We're not going to ask you if you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be and what kind of sound would you make. We're going to ask really we're going to ask really standard interview questions. Tell me about yourself, that kind of thing. And so the upside there is you're going to have an opportunity to practice, practice, practice. Turn on your camera, dress how you would dress, pick the time of day that you would pick, make sure the sun's right and you've got your jitters kind of all settled through. And then watch yourself back and give yourself some feedback. And then if I were to add a 5th one, I would say relax. Once you've put your best effort into those 4 steps, there's no more reason to just, stress about, did I do a good enough job? If you put your best effort in and you know that while you're doing it, good things are going to come to good people. Good things come to hardworking people. So you do a good job, just relax and watch what happens after you've done all the hard work.
Thank you. I was doing my best to put cliff notes in the chat so people can hear and see what you're talking about. I want people, if you're watching, if you're here right now, to really take advantage of this opportunity. You are going to have FaceTime with people that can help you. Jalyn, like she mentioned, reaching out, don't just sign up for the Zoom because somebody told you or it was on Twitter and then kind of walk away with nothing. Like, we are here, we create these type of conversations and these opportunities to develop the next generation of women and minorities in sports entertainment, and everything that we do is intentional and we are genuine about this. So I'm putting these notes in there because I want you to apply. Even if you don't think, I don't know if it's gonna fit in my schedule, I don't know if this is my GPA, like all these what ifs, get in the practice or get in the habit of putting yourself out there. Have that conversation with HR. You don't want the first interview that you ever have to be the interview that you need to get a job. Like, get used to talking. If it is, some people may ask about your spirit animal and you have to answer that question. So I appreciate that, Nerissa. I want to give a chance for anybody, if you have any questions for Nerissa about the internship process and the application, the timeline, the roles. I don't know did you touch on the actual roles that people could apply for or what that looks like?
Not yet. We were just talking about step 1, the applications. So as far as timeline, we are expecting that to open next week. Of course, COVID. So I just heard today we're in a holding pattern. Corinne, thank you so much for offering to email everybody once the application does go live. So we will be sure that you all get that message once we're able to go ahead and post and start reading through your applications. So we usually give from the fall through the winter break. So students have all that flexible time that they can go ahead and apply themselves. So the actual internship program, so cool. So it's a 10-week experience. We usually start the first Monday of June, and it's immersive. So you're not fetching coffee. You're not just taking notes the whole summer long, wondering what the heck you wrote. You are actually doing projects that actually matter. I just had an interview with someone today and they had asked questions about the internship program. They're like, okay, so do your comms interns, do they just, write copy for just drafts? And I said, no, they write copy for things that the commissioner is going to be reading off of. So it's real work that we actually rely on and use. So our students get a really great experience from that. Weekly, we have workshops delivered by senior leaders. So let's say it's our head of digital. He'll come in and he'll just talk about what his business is. And our students from one session to the next, will start putting the pieces together of, okay, this is how the back office is run. This is how the business of sports actually runs and how these all different departments all rely on one another. So he'll give his spiel, and then at the end, he will turn to the interns and say, all right, well, here's what keeps me up at night. Here's a real world business problem, and I actually want to know what you think. This isn't just some cute, oh, okay, I'm going to pat you on the head and just say, okay, I asked them. They actually want to know what our interns think. What would they propose? And so they get to deliberate, they get to discuss the problem amongst themselves, and they present it to that senior leader. So a really great opportunity to do some real networking. You know, there's meeting people and shaking hands and saying, okay, I know your name for the next 2 seconds, but then there's those opportunities to work with people and actually build lasting connections. We do some networking, of course, with senior leaders. The interns have an opportunity to dine with the commissioner and ask him questions about his career and his family and just his thoughts on things. Jalyn's sister actually got to go on his plane, and I'm forever jealous.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh,
I'm jealous.
That out of the bag. Okay. I'll pretend like I didn't say that, but she did know. She's really
gonna
did.
be like, oh, so you got on the plane?
I need to hit her up. Yeah, like what's up?
Air, but she did get to go to the hangar and go onto the plane while it was on the tarmac. Really, really cool. I never got to do that. Yeah. So our interns experience is so cool. I get full-time staff saying, you don't feed us that much. We don't get to eat with Jay. What are you doing? And then Corinne, one last really cool thing that I wanted to touch on was our students come from all over the country, so we do take care of housing for them, of course, COVID. So we're looking at how many people we can have, you know, housed together, how many students are we going to be able to accommodate. So that's in question. But I do, if I had a crystal ball, I would guess that we would probably still be able to provide housing. We would just have to have more precautions. Last thing I really wanted to touch on was I caught your IG live with Laura, and I know y'all talked about the improv and thinking on your feet. And one of our key workshops that we have for students is we hire an acting coach who specializes in improv, and we have a half-day session with this coach to talk with our students, to practice with them. That way when they're sitting in a meeting and they're like, okay, Jalyn, what did you think of that report from last quarter? What do you think we could be doing better? Jalyn's not like, so I think I can say this. She just, oh, okay. I'm just gonna, if I have to make something up and sound smart, I'm gonna do it because I've practiced and this is what I'm doing. So some really great experience for our students. We also go through their resume again, because that's a living document. You're always supposed to be updating that, making sure that it's buttoned up with your latest and greatest projects. We do another round of practice interviews because that's, again, a skill that we all can constantly be working on. So constant professional development, really great networking, and really great people to work around. Again, just staying in touch with people even after you've left the internship program. I've seen people end up in really cool places, the NFL, PA, Nike, just awesome opportunities. So those are the highlights.
Can you go through, so when someone applies, do they apply for a specific position, or what are the positions that you could possibly work in for this internship, this 10-week internship with housing?
Sure. Yes. Thank you for emphasizing that. So our applicants can state a preference. They can pick, I think, 3 or 4 departments that they prefer to work in. So let's say you wanted communications, PR, social, and what did I not say before? Accounting, in that order. You know, we don't guarantee anyone, but we do take their preference into account. We look at some past projects they may have worked on. We look at projects that the department has shared that they have coming up, and we try to do a best fit. If that student shares that, okay, I'm really strong in this area, but I'm wanting to explore more, like, I'm just going to say social, then we might try to pair that student up depending on what the project needs are for that department. If they need someone who can hit the ground running, or if they, you know, want to help groom somebody and give them the experience to add to their project list. So we do the best we can there. No promises, but except that we do promise it is going to be an awesome experience.
I'm like, dang, I wish I would have known about this opportunity when I was coming up. So 10 weeks, you're being awesome, you're having dinner with the commissioner, you're learning from all the different people in the department. What is from a internal goal, like, hey, you're working in talent and culture. After this 10 weeks, what is it that you want to happen for these participants in the internship?
Yeah. So ideally, in our ideal world, we would love to hang on to our best and brightest students and hold a job open for them. If they're a sophomore, we could hold a job open for a couple years and wait for them to come back. And the realities of the business don't lend themselves to that. So what we try to pride ourselves on is, did I say that the internship is paid? It's paid, by the way. We pay. And Florida doesn't have state taxes. Just throwing that out there. So our hope is that our students will stay in touch. They stay on the job boards. They message us, hey, I saw this is open. Remember, I'm graduating this year. Just kind of let me know. We would love to have all of our best and brightest students come back. We know that timing doesn't always work out, but paid. But we know that when folks end up in the industry, so I'm just speaking it into existence. Jalyn's working at Nike, getting all these skills. In about 4 or 5 years, she's going to come back. So that's what we hope. We put greatness out there in the universe, and we would just love to see it all come back.
This is great. I want to give people, so we talked about step one, the application. We talked about the experience. Anything we're missing that you want to talk about before we open it up for people to ask you specifically questions, and then we go to the conversation with Jalyn. So I want to make sure if anybody has a question, you can raise your hand. You can pop in the chat. I can add you on video. I want to make sure this is as interactive as we possibly can be.
Grace asks, where is the internship? It is at our headquarters in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, just outside of Jacksonville.
I'm typing that as quickly as I can. Did I spell it right?
You did.
Boom.
V-E-D-R-A.
V-E-D-R-A.
Vedra.
I was born in Miami and lived in Orlando, and I still don't know all the things in Florida. Boom. Any other questions for Nerissa before we have a casual yet informative conversation with Jalyn? Don't be shy, ask questions. This is the time now to get them for Nerissa. If you could, I don't know, while we're talking, if you want to put your LinkedIn profile in there so people can connect with you on LinkedIn. And like you said, I will share the application once it's open since you've registered. So you have, as soon as it comes up, you don't have to wait around, but we're not going to chase you. Can you touch on the marketing branch and opportunities?
Sure. And let me just mention, when you reach out to me on LinkedIn, make sure that you said that where you saw us.
Yes.
That way I'll make sure you get bubbled up to the top.
Boom, boom, bubble it up.
Right. Can you touch on the marketing branch? So we've got several different arms of marketing. So we've got the corporate partnership side. So those are the big dollars. So I'm going to use your neck of the woods again, Corinne. So when we had Tour Championship by Coca-Cola, that's the team that approached Coca-Cola and said, don't you want to spend millions of dollars with us over about a decade? So that's that team, that all the research that goes into who are we approaching for how much, and sealing those deals. So that's a completely different side of marketing compared to our other side of the house that deals with getting foot traffic. So again, remember, I'm speaking in like normal terms. COVID never happened, but foot traffic and getting as many fans out to the championship as possible, getting them to buy multiple tickets for multiple days, and all of that. So it's very different sides of the house, but of course, all part of the whole golf tournament ecosystem. We need both.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you, Nerissa. Stick around, but I'm gonna put you on stop videos in case at the end we'll bring you back and allow people to ask you more questions. Thank you again. All right, the woman of the hour. Hi,
And
Jalyn. How are you today?
I'm good. And Nerissa, it was so good to hear all of that. I still feel very connected to the Tour family. And I too was getting excited. I'm like, dang, I want to go through the internship again. But
I
truly,
know.
it's such a fun experience. So I learned so much personally. And a lot of what Nerissa shared is exactly how it is. And all of you have such an advantage getting this information right now. So hopefully y'all are copying Corinne's cliff notes and really taking some of this to heart, because truly, like, this is a great opportunity for everyone, golf fanatic or not. There's a lot of great opportunity there.
So let's start off with, how did you end up, like, what was kind of like a summary of your journey, like from the time you realized this was an opportunity to applying, like how did all of that happen?
Yeah, great question. So for me, I grew up playing sports. Like many of you, my parents threw me in everything, trying to figure out kind of what my avenue would be. But grew up playing sports, got serious about playing golf in high school, ended up playing in college. I went to an HBCU, played golf.
What, you gotta represent, you gotta represent.
Went to Texas Southern in Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah. um, and truly, I think that's when I really became so passionate about sport in general. And for a very hot second, I thought I wanted to pursue golf professionally, but quickly realized that wasn't my journey.
It's not for everybody.
This is not for everybody. And I was so excited to learn about the internship program because I thought that would be a great opportunity to stay connected to the sport, but from the business side of things, which truly I didn't really know much of that existed prior to that. I can't remember how I first discovered. I was probably just looking for internships in general. Saw the diversity internship program, honestly didn't think it would turn into much. I knew it was going to be very competitive, and I feel so fortunate still that I was able to go through that program. So that was back in 2015. I interned there that summer, and again, it was such a great opportunity to be introduced not only to corporate America and just trying to figure out how to navigate some of the stuff that goes down in the workplace, but also, again, like just that connection to the sporting industry and realizing how cool that is to work for a company or organization that really, you know, is all about what you're passionate about and you can really resonate with on that level. And that translates into the work I'm doing now, working with Nike, like being able to work for a brand that really stands for and values some of the same things that I do. I know that is such a huge part of, you know, what I want to stay connected to in my work. And working for organizations like the Tour and like Nike that really are about using the power of sport to influence, you know, all across the board. And I think that's so important for us to really take advantage of those opportunities and show up in those spaces and really be committed to some of that work. So I remember applying. I don't remember what my theme song was. I would have to go back and try to find my personal statement or something. But I remember going through the process. I remember doing the interviews, and I'm very comfortable with it now. I do all my meetings on Zoom now, but back, I mean, I was still in school. That was like 5 years ago. I remember it was a little daunting to do that, but I felt totally comfortable as soon as I got on the call with the interviewer. We connected really easily. And again, if you're so passionate about something, it's really easy to kind of let that come through and talk about it. And I think that has been a big advantage to me in my career, like just being true to yourself, be your authentic self. I know you are in a professional setting, you want to kind of represent yourself and manage your perception, but still be true to who you are. And that's what's going to help you, you know, navigate certain things and really, you know, end up where, you know, you could be.
Yeah, a lot of our audience members are student athletes, and people assume like, oh, they have everything they could possibly want. And we both know the truth. Like, when there's a resume workshop, they're at practice. When there's their career fair, they're at an away game. They don't have the opportunity to go and do that internship maybe. So a lot of times when they're applying for something, this is going to be their first opportunity. For you, you had volunteer experience, but the PGA Tour was your first internship experience. So what about that? What about knowing that this was going to be your first one, kind of, how did that make you feel? And I asked that question because I think it's important for our audience to hear that if you were scared, like, that's okay. If you were nervous, that's okay. Like, you're not gonna, you may be the bomb.com on the court, but now you're going to the profession, you're going to corporate America, and you're not going to be Bob.com. You're not going to know everything, and that's okay. So kind of talk about how you were feeling knowing that this was going to be your first internship experience.
Totally, yeah. And those are very real feelings. I felt very nervous going into it, but I think more excitement than anything. Again, it was just an opportunity for me to stay connected with what I loved at the time and being able to experience it from a different lens. But I was a first generation college student, so I didn't have much influence outside of that. It's not like my parents had connections or could really like say, oh, go work here for the summer. Like I really had to work for all of this on my own. Obviously they supported me, but I knew there was a lot at stake with some of this stuff. And I knew the success that I wanted to achieve in my career. It was important to kind of lay the foundation and get plugged into these different organizations and internships. So I kind of went into it with that pressure, knowing that I really wanted this to be a great opportunity and experience for me. But I think that helped, kind of set the bar for how I wanted to show up. And really that summer was about just being a sponge and absorbing everything. And like Nerissa shared, there are some great opportunities to have dinner with the commissioner of the tour and do like speed mentoring events. I remember doing a couple of those and just having like different speaker series and lunch and learns, which are all opportunities for you to be in front of vice presidents and senior directors, people who have been in the industry probably longer than we've been alive, but they have so much wisdom and advice to share. And trust me, they are so invested in that internship program and definitely want to like impart that on the interns and really kind of take you under their wings. So I knew, I was only there for 10 weeks. So I wanted to make it like a full 10 weeks of me really showing up my best every day, taking full advantage of the opportunity and playing a lot of golf while I was there too. Being at one of the most famous courses, TPC Sawgrass, getting to play there every day was like a dream come true. But really like it was all about just taking advantage of the resources and what the program had to offer and knowing, like Nerissa shared, like once I went back to school, I was able to continue those relationships and really continue to foster, some of those things I was able to be involved with that summer.
So you get selected, you're getting ready to go to TPC Sawgrass. Talk about those 10 weeks. And, Nerissa talked a lot about the technical and all the programs that you got to do. But from your perspective, like you were living it, you were going through it, you were waking up early, staying up late, going to meetings, taking notes, doing all these things. One, talk about the role that you had as an intern and kind of what you were being exposed to and getting a chance to experience during those 10 weeks.
Sure, yeah. So I interned in our human resources department, and that's the work I do currently. I work in HR as a recruiter, and knew that that was an area of the business I was really interested in. Again, had no prior experience doing it, but very quickly realized, just being able to connect with people. And I mean, that can look very different depending on like what area of HR you get into, and now it's talent and culture. I think that's super cool. They didn't used to be called that, but I think that that's what it's all about. And that's what it should be about for all organizations, like really embracing the talent and trying to deliver premium culture that is really reflective of hopefully the society that we, really want to see right now. So I worked in HR and really got some cool experience. I remember a couple of leaders in particular, they like brought me along on some interviews that they were hosting for like real candidates applying for real jobs. I got to like sit in the room and just listen to some of those interviews. And I had never, had any experience really interviewing in that way. So it took away some of that nervousness we were talking about and kind of the scariness of it. Like, because prior to the interview, he would talk to me about, okay, these are the questions I'm going to ask, and this is kind of what I look for. So I got a lot of his perspective. And then also just sitting in, knowing that there was no pressure on me to answer the questions right, but then hearing how the candidate responded, I thought that was super cool. Like just getting that behind the scenes look at some of it. And now that's what I do now. I interview people all the time and help recruit for Nike. So I think that was just a very early example of how the tour really tries to immerse you into that and give you some of that real life experience. So I got to be involved with some of that stuff. I was involved with some of the programming that we put on. So helping like identify some of the people that would participate in our speed mentoring event and different leaders throughout the business that we could tap for whatever type of questions we had. They are really friendly people and they love to help out. So it was really cool to get to work with some of them and set up some of the events for the other interns. I was kind of like a liaison almost. I got to connect more to the intern group and then kind of help develop some of the program for the internship in general. So I think, like Nerissa shared, like it's just such a great opportunity to really get involved with the work. You're not just grabbing coffee, making copies. You're really working on things. I remember one of my roommates, she wrote a blog that was on the PGA Tour's website, and we were freaking out because it like had her name on there. We could all go back and check on it. So we like things like that. Obviously, when you're in school, like those are so like such cool opportunities, and the tour does an incredible job of really being thoughtful about that and making sure that there are professional development, leadership development, which translates into my life now. And you will take a lot of the skills and things that you learn that summer into whatever career avenue that you pursue. But that's a great foundation to really set you up for your professional career.
I'm like for real mad that I did not know about this opportunity.
I want to go back. It was a lot of fun. And even as I was preparing for this conversation, I started to go look at some pictures and videos from that summer, and we had a lot of fun.
Perfect transition. What was it like outside of work? You know, I think that's a big part of an experience for an intern. Like, am I working every day, all day? Okay, if I'm not, what am I? So I'm living with somebody I may not know because they're providing housing. Mm-hmm. Okay. So how are you guys having a good time and kind of balancing that life and work? Because I think that's important foundation to set early as you start your journey. It's not just work, especially in sports entertainment. We can get lost because we're always working on holidays or birthday, like major holidays. We're usually the ones working, right? And so, but we do have a good time. So talk about some of those experiences, those videos and photos that you guys have and how that really set you up to build your peer network.
Yeah. We had a good time. I remember, so I was in housing. It was 4 of us in an apartment. It was all like corporate housing. So you got to stay in an apartment for the summer. So even that was fun, just being connected with people from all over the country. Some of us were student athletes, some of us weren't. And some of us just were more interested in the business side of it. And some of us were there just to play golf, okay? But there was some great opportunity, again, if you are connected to golf, being able to practice, take lessons, and just play that course was big for me. I remember going back to school, like playing really well because I played all summer. But outside of that, I mean, we were in Florida. We were on the beach for the summer. And I remember just driving up, again, headquarters in Ponte Vedra Beach, which is, I mean, right outside of Jacksonville. But Jacksonville Beach, such a cute area. There's a lot of like stuff to do on the boardwalks. I remember going to the beach a lot. We weren't that far from Orlando. I remember driving down, going to Disney World. My family actually flew in. They were in Disney for a couple of days. So I drove up and went meet them. But I remember, so Nerissa talks about it. My sister interned maybe 2 years after me with the tour. And I remember her intern group, they all went together. We didn't do that. I was like, okay, I wish we would all went together. That would have been so fun. But I mean, there's a lot of proximity and things in the area being in Florida. I remember I flew down to Miami one weekend. I had some of my teammates living there.
Okay. We don't have to talk about what happened there. That's fine.
Yeah, but it's truly like there's so much to do in the area. And I mean, the tour really provides that work-life balance where, I mean, obviously you want to work hard and kind of put in the work. Again, it's 10 weeks, it'll fly by. So you definitely want to show up well, but truly like you're young, having fun in the summer, like make the most of that experience too. And I remember like growing so much professionally and personally. Just that was one of my first experiences really being away from home. I stayed close to family for school. So that was really one of my first times really being on my own and away for the summer. So I remember like even today, I still keep up with some of my roommates and some of the interns that I went with. And again, there's just a lot to do. And the tour did a great job of providing some of those activities for us. whether it was like volunteer activities. I remember we did Habitat for Humanity. We built a house one weekend, which was fun. I remember we went to like some baseball games and different stuff. So truly like just take advantage of the full environment, not only being at the tour, but just the city you're in, getting to explore a new place. There's a lot of great things that can happen during the summer.
I like you talked about, for you as a golfer, it was good. You got a lot of practice, you got a chance. But for those on the call now who aren't golfers and they're like, dang, she's really talking about golfers. This must be a better experience for them. So talk about maybe if you know like the experience for some of your peers who weren't golfers and how they were able to really see that the sport had opportunities for them as well.
Yeah, that's a great call out. And like I mentioned, many of us had never played golf a day in our life, or maybe we kind of dabbled in it, but obviously weren't playing
Golf.
thing. Top golf, yeah. But truly, like you don't have to be there. I mean, there's a lot to it that you can still really benefit from. And if I remember correctly, I think we did have like a scramble is what we call them, where you get paired with different people. There's no pressure, like play well. There's a lot of like rules that'll help you, like you play the best ball and different things. So you don't have to play well, but like Corinne mentioned earlier, golf is a great tool for business. And that's where a lot of business deals are made. And you don't want to count yourself out if you know your coworkers or whatever are going to the golf course for half a day or whatever. You don't want to be the one that's always like, oh, I can't go, or oh, I don't know how to play, or oh, I've never been on the course, right?
So even get in that cart.
Get on that cart, whatever, just go out, have fun for the afternoon, enjoy the weather. But just that little exposure can really help you in the business realm. Like you don't have to be an incredible player. You don't have to have your own set of clubs or anything, but really just being involved in the type of opportunity that golf brings. But outside of that, I mean, there was still a lot to do for people that didn't play golf. I mean, the community we lived in, obviously we had a pool, there's like a tennis court and the fitness center. So if you're just into that active lifestyle, there was still a lot of great opportunity. And I'm sure there's going to be even some more cool stuff happening with the new building that they're coming out with, and some of their new fitness centers and whatnot. So you don't have to be a golfer to really take advantage of the PGA Tour internship, but there are a lot of great benefits to it.
Something I always try to stress on these conversations that we have is the advantages of being a student athlete. There are advantages. You may miss out on a lot of opportunities, but there are advantages because of the discipline, insert XYZ, right? Because a lot of organizations love having student athletes as a part of their organization. They know they can handle being yelled at, they can fail fast, they can bounce back. So as a student athlete at the collegiate level, what advantages do you think you've had, not only with an internship at the PGA Tour, but throughout your journey?
Yeah, I love that question. And I think that was
ask good questions.
That was something I think my parents preached to me when they were like introducing me to sport, realizing all of the life skills that come out of it. Again, you don't have to be the best athlete, but the things that we learn and are able to manage, a lot of people just can't, right? Or they just haven't been in environments where they've had to do so. So we know what hard work means. We know what managing multiple responsibilities mean, trying to keep your grades up, trying to make it to practice, show up on time, all of that. So time management, work ethic, organization, there needs to be some degree of that. So those are some of the skills that even as a recruiter now, that's what I'm looking for. Like when I'm speaking with candidates, obviously I'm not going to ask them like, tell me what your practice was like, but those are sort of the things that come up naturally when you know someone has just lived that life or been through that experience, that comes out in how they do their work now. So that was huge for me. And really, I think, the sports that I did play really taught me how to like be a leader. I was the leader of my captain of my golf team, and how to work with other people, be a team player. So there's a lot of great skills that whether you realize it or not, when you're going through sports and being a student athlete, you're really gaining some great experience that can really set you apart from other people once you get into that business environment. And like Nerissa shared, like we both work in fast-paced organizations, and there's a lot of important work that we do, a lot of great work that we do, and you definitely want to be a contributor to that. And sport has played a big role in my life all around. And truly, like, some of the life skills that I've gained from it have been incredible.
So you're at the check now. You're here at Nike now.
Yes.
And talk about how the experience at PGA Tour helped you prepare for the interview, prepare for starting out, and prepared you to continue the success that you've had at Nike.
Yeah. So the tour was absolutely the foundation for everything I've done since. I interned with Nike the summer after, and one of the biggest advantages for me getting that internship was because I had the PGA Tour internship already and had some experience working HR. Nike's internship program is also very, very competitive. So those are the sort of things that kind of gave me that advantage. But the two, they're pretty similar, honestly, and truly, like, just working for organizations that use sport to be so much more than just sports, and knowing that it really has the power to, like, transcend culture and build community and different things. So I was able to, like, take everything I learned from the tour and continue to build on that. Even when I went back to school, I interned with the tour, like, before my junior year. Then I went to Nike, like, that summer after. But I truly learned a lot. And that, when I went to Nike, that wasn't my first time being in a corporate setting. I already had it from the tour. So I was able to kind of step into that environment and already have some experience. And even just that comfortability of knowing that, okay, I've done this before. This is kind of familiar to me. I had to learn that at the tour. Obviously, that was my first time. So those are some of the things that you walk into feeling a little nervous about. But the more you do it, the more exposure you have to things like that, the more you're able to really step into those environments and just truly be you and really do some really good work. So the tour really set me up for that, transitioning to Nike. Once I graduated, I went back to Nike. And again, it was really important to be with an organization that supports and stands for some of the same things that I value, even outside of sport, like just creating opportunity and showing up in some of the same spaces this group is, the Winning Edge, and some of the great work that you guys are doing. Like, it's so important now more than ever, I think, for us to really just have access and exposure to some of that stuff. So that was really important for me to be able to work for a brand that really supported that.
Last question before we take it to the group. You talked earlier about the relationships with your peers, the relationships with the leaders at the PGA Tour. How have you been able to maintain those relationships? Because I think that's something that's very important. Networking is always like the thing that you hear all the time, network. But it's like, it's one thing to pass your business card out to 50 million people and to send an email to 25 million people, and then that's it, right?
Right.
How have you been able to maintain those relationships? And if you can, give one example of how, the little things that you did to maintain them really made a difference for you.
Yeah. That's such a good point. And there is a big difference in really fostering meaningful relationships. You don't have to, like, know everything about them or know their kids or anything, but you do want it to be a little bit more of a connection as you do enter, like, these different environments. So for me, being at the tour, it was all about just managing my perception and showing up really well and really wanting to learn from everyone. So that was genuine for me. Like, I really wanted to get to know you and learn about your work. And I took that back to school. Like, I went back to school and stayed in touch with people. I don't think I was on LinkedIn at the time, but I was, like, emailing them, and I would send them a note, like, once a semester or something, like maybe as I was going in winter break, like, just giving them an update, like, hey, fall semester just ended. Here's what I'm working on. I remember such and such happened at the tour, and it was so funny. This came up the other day. You just want to find those things that you can kind of relate back to your experience, or maybe a conversation you have with someone. That's something I did at Nike too. Once I left the internship, I stayed in touch once I went back to school, and that's what helped me get the job going back. Like Nerissa shared, it's important to continue those relationships and stay in touch with people. And she and I connected on LinkedIn. We've been in touch, and she reached out about this opportunity, and just knowing, boom, those are the things that you are really important and can really, make it full circle for you. Like when you are doing good work and, you know, making those relationships, but in turn, like maybe a favor or something comes up that you can really connect back with that person on, or just give them an update of your life. Like I said, I went to school, I stayed in touch. I would shoot them a note. Now I'm definitely on LinkedIn. I'll put my LinkedIn here in the chat too. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn nowadays.
Yeah, LinkedIn love.
Yeah, that's how you can really stay vocal and visible to some people. And it's always good to kind of drop little highlights or things that you're working on. And you never know that it may come up with someone else like, oh, I'm working on this too. Or, oh, I would love to learn more about it. So again, it's all about just staying visible. You want to kind of stay in these people's minds. Obviously, if you're interested in going back to these organizations, and do what you can and like just continue that relationship, drop them a line. We love to hear from people. And I've never run into a situation where somebody's like dry with me or not want to respond or whatever. Truly, like, still, like, I really do keep in touch with some of the people I toured with, which was intern with in 2015. So it's been 5 years of continuing those relationships, and it's still really meaningful.
And I think one thing is the difference between only hitting someone up when you need something,
yeah,
and being genuine, being consistent. Like once a semester, if I know, hey, when Susie hits me up, it's because she's giving me an update, because she hits me every semester with an update and not just, hey, I need a job type thing. So I want to take it to the chat. If anybody has any questions, if you want to hop on the video with us and ask your question in person, you can raise your hand. But I want to give people an opportunity, and you can do that. There's some controls at the bottom that allows you to say, hey, I have a question. So I don't want to be cricket too long. So if you have a question, please hop in the chat, let us know, or raise your hand. Jalyn provided some great insight to complement the technical information Nerissa provided on the internship program. And I want to make sure everybody leaves this conversation feeling good about themselves. Feeling good that, hey, this is an opportunity that I should pursue, because I think too often, like I said in the beginning, especially with golf, it's not something our community, especially women and minorities, feel like, oh, I can do this, or I know you have to play golf to do this, or you have to know somebody. Hey, we're giving you the opportunity right now to learn more about it. So does anybody have any questions? Any questions while they're typing, because not everybody's as fast as me, before we let you go? If there's anything you could have told Jalyn first day walking on campus at Texas Southern as a freshman, that you know now about your career and the journey that you've had, what are you telling her?
Oh, that's deep, but I love it. I love it. I think so. This year in general has been a big learning experience, I think, for a lot of us, and a lot has been revealed, good and bad. But when I think back to me in college, I was probably still trying to figure a lot of stuff out, like many of us probably. And I think this year particularly has really made me so confident and sure of what I'm passionate about. And I think I would tell myself back in college, like, just know, one, that you are deserving of, you know, some of the opportunities that you're gonna be able to participate in, and know that you are where you're supposed to be. You're on the track you're supposed to be. And it all worked out, you know, and I know there is a lot of pressure for student athletes in particular to just perform well, perform at high levels on the court, on the course, in the classroom. But knowing that experience is really going to help you to just be so successful in whatever career or avenue you choose for your life. So I think just trust the process and trust who and what you are, and let that be what gets you to where you are. Like, don't ever try to fake it or be something you're not. Just kind of stay true to who you are.
Awesome. We got a question from Destiny. She's a junior at Penn State. She's not a student athlete, but she asked, how do someone who's not a student athlete find their way around sports and entertainment without having those connections? Something I always say is, especially in this industry, it's not about the grades you make, but the hands you shake, and who you know and who knows you. And I think that's very important. And I will start answering the question with, put yourself out there, attend things like this, follow up, connect with Jalyn on LinkedIn, set up a time to have a conversation. It's not an interview. It's not, hey, can you give me a job? It's, hey, I really enjoy the conversation. Would love to find some time to learn more. Connect with Nerissa on LinkedIn. Again, like, don't just come on these Zoom calls because somebody told you to or because you think it's what you're supposed to do. Make it work for you. Take advantage. Follow what Jalyn is doing on LinkedIn. If she's sharing something, or you see her, she shared something from this group, and you're like, oh, I want to be a part of that group. Join the group. Don't be passive. Be aggressive in how you're connecting. No one is going to find you to say, hey, Destiny, let me help you out. Like, you have to put yourself out there, and there is a fine line between annoying and that professionally persistent, right? But you have to understand that, one, sports is seasonal. So if you think, hey, I want to work in football, don't email those people during football season. It's very unlikely that they're going to respond to you during their high season, right? Be mindful of that. Be mindful of, if you're reaching out to someone, don't waste their time. Don't reach out to Corinne not knowing anything about me and then want to spend, I'm going to give you 20 minutes, right? I'm not going to spend 20 minutes telling you about me. Come to the conversation knowing already what you want to ask. Be prepared with questions. This isn't just every time I have a conversation with somebody, I want them to tell me about their life. No. Hey, I know you were an event supervisor at ESPN. This is what I want to know about that experience. Anything that I've missed with that, Jalyn?
I think that's great advice. And one thing that I learned early on in my career is that you own your career. There's been a lot of great people and mentors and allies and people that I've had along the way that have helped me and really supported me to do some things, but that's not going to happen without me taking that initiative. So I was the one like reaching out to people and making sure like, hey, here's what's going on with me. And just really, but again, you want it to be genuine and know that it's not going to come, closed mouths don't get fed. Like, it's not going to just fall into your lap. You definitely want to take advantage of this setting, this program, and know how important it is for us to show up in those spaces, golf related or not. I don't play golf anymore. Like, it was
You
great.
should be.
I'm still around it.
When you come to Atlanta, I'm gonna make sure we go play. Maybe somebody will hook us up with some East Lake.
We know the girl. We know who to call. It's about really, owning that and know that you control it and you have the power to really do whatever you want with it. There's gonna be some great influence along the way, but don't be afraid to, or don't count yourself out by just being afraid to ask.
Awesome. I love being on time. So we have 1 minute. Anybody else have any questions? I know Nerissa answered Grace's question about the spots. We like to be very efficient. This internship is in Florida. It is in, oh, look at Nerissa on it, girl. She is on it. Listen, we're efficient. That's how you know we got it going on. Does anybody else have any additional questions for Jalyn, for Nerissa? I want to make sure like we take advantage of the time we have with these ladies. It's very important to understand, like, not everybody. I'm gonna bring Nerissa back on the video too, just in case. Oh, she gone. So Nerissa, first of all, I definitely thought that was the new office, and I was like, oh, that's so clean and pristine.
No, they're still moving stuff in. I just got an update and everyone's still in hard hats, but we're so excited. We're going to be amongst the first people in there and it'll be great. It'll be a great step up from the offices that we were in before. Let's just say we funneled a lot of our funds to charity and other more noble causes and not our office building.
And that's fine. Anything that, before we sign off, anything else, Nerissa, you want to say to our audience members about this opportunity?
Apply. Grace, I saw your question. I know it's easy to get wrapped up in the odds of like, okay, if this many people apply, but there are this many seats, Grace only needs 1 seat. Jonathan only needs one seat. Allie only needs one seat. You focus on what you want, how you're going to get there, do your research. You will do an awesome job on your application. Just focus on that one seat.
Jalyn, any lasting words you want for our audience to know?
I would just share, continue to take advantage of these incredible opportunities. All of you have an advantage to get one of those seats now, getting some of this insight. So just continue to use that and seek out these opportunities to really set yourselves apart, but continue your own professional development along the way. So I know all of you can achieve great success. So just keep it up, stay connected to this group, and let me know what I can do to support that.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, so much. This has been another We Huddle. I appreciate the time and energy, not only from our guests, but from the attendees. The questions show that you are engaged with the conversation. Make sure you stay connected with us. We are on all the platforms other than TikTok and Snapchat, because I'm not about that life. But you can find us at The We Leadership. Follow the hashtag We Game Change. Go to our website, sign up for our mailing list, wegamechange.org. You can see all these events, not only that we're hosting, but other organizations are hosting to develop the next generation at wegamechange.org/schedule. I'll actually put it in the chat. But again, thank you, Jalyn. Thank you, Nerissa, for taking the time to speak. It's a long time coming, and I appreciate everybody making the time to be here. This will not be the last time Winning Edge and the PGA Tour connect. Thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Thank you. Y'all take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.